Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very scary news when it comes to the future of the PlayStation Studios, and as well the support behind very specific brands behind the PlayStation ecosystem, such as the PlayStation VR. Now, there's been a lot of kind of big controversy and kind of big, questions when it comes to profitability, long-term accessibility, and as well if it's even worthwhile for companies like PlayStation or other various companies, even like Meta, Oculus, even Xbox, to see if they ever want to go dive into this brand new technology. And so far, a lot of things have been very mediocre. And while right now studios are now shutting down, funding is not there, and the interest is completely waning when it comes to, well, a lot of PlayStation parts. So we're going to go talk about this all throughout this video, and of course, as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We also have a brand new hashtag ad going on right now with Samsung. If you guys want to go and pre-order and get a bunch of free money for store credits and everything else, link down below with the brand new upcoming Samsung phones. Those are down below. It's basically no obligation need. Just put in your first, last name, and email. You gotta get a bunch of free money off that too as well. If you guys are interested, linked down below. And of course, the Twitter and Twitch stream. Let's go dive on into it. So if you guys have kind of missed it, right now today, there's been some really big news where some studios that have been involved in huge instrumental PlayStation parts for PlayStation VR especially are now being shut down. And obviously there's been a little bit of a backwards issue where people were concerned about how low the sales were for the PlayStation VR2, how kind of overall niche and outside of the niche PlayStation VR and other VR titles and headsets are as well. Although if you guys haven't watched my videos, I actually do even have my own basically headset up over here too, just all tied on in. And well, it's just scary because we don't necessarily know where the future of all this is going to go. And so far the future is not looking so good. Where the studio behind the PlayStation's Firewall Games now shuts down due to lack of support for VR within the industry itself. Quoting, "We are just not able to justify the expense needed." Now, this is also maybe kind of tied into when it comes to AI, and I'm not going to go and say anything bad about AI, but even you guys even look at, say, like our Samsung promotion we have linked down below, where they're even trying to go push in the idea of like AI, integrations of AI, and also a lot of big games too as well, such as even the upcoming PlayStation 5 Pro or the PS6 also might be integrated quite a bit with AI and AI interactive technology to kind of fill in the blanks or kind of help the console out, or even for computing and running things like your GPU, CPU, AI is a big deal. Now, one thing to kind of go note is that VR is cool. I like VR. I think the idea behind VR is sick. Although it always has been niche, and while people still like it and the niche is still there, we just haven't seen that full-on blown where like everyone plays a certain game that makes it become popular. Think like Fortnite, kind of making live service like Apex, Fortnite, etc. into like that next echelon of gaming. Now, PlayStation, such as maybe like, Beat Saber on PlayStation VR2 is still nice, it's still cool, and that is probably the biggest push. Or something like, like the Half-Life Elixirs for like the Valve's VR. Now, these are cool, like these are nice, but we haven't had that super mainstream, besides maybe Beat Saber. I'd probably say Beat Saber would be up there, but you need something a little bit more. You need like one of every big genre to make that big major push, and so far people are just not really playing these games. So the VR studio, First Contact Entertainment, has now shut down. The company which is behind the PlayStation VR and PlayStation VR2 games such as Firewall 0 Hour and Firewall Ultra said the lack of support for VR within the industry was a factor in its decision. Now, it's probably be a little bit of a mixture of both things in terms of people buying the actual VR headsets. So basically, anyone who bought a PlayStation VR 1 or 2, or just general VR headsets. We don't have that many folks that even have the install base. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that probably a lot of these big companies such as PlayStation or any other big media conglomerate that has it, they're probably not pushing a lot of money to expand into it. Now, I have seen a few grants and I'm sure there is partnerships, etc. But right now we're not seeing PlayStation being like, hey, we're going to allocate $50 million. We're going to get some of our own individual studios. Now, there is some of that going on. Like some of the studios that work there are doing stuff, but we're not seeing a lot of news on it. We're not seeing a lot of promotion on it. We're not seeing a lot of marketing behind it. And as well, there's also not like a really big install base. If only a few million people, even that, have that means that people who might buy the games are obviously not going to be 100%. let's say we have 5 million PSVR2 users, which is definitely not the realistic. I'd probably say maybe like 1.5 million on a high note. Guess what? Maybe if we're lucky, 50%, which would be astronomically high numbers, would maybe go buy a PlayStation VR game if it was cool. And even then, it's only like 700,000 units. And while that is very good, but once again, very, very unlikely, all of those units put together also means that you have to make a lot of money to go make this games back. Like, you're just not making that money back because you have to have brand new technology. You have to have a specific subset of technology, the marketing behind it, labor costs. And also, don't forget, VR games also have like a 360 margin, which is also more taxing, which also lays even less people available for them to utilize the VR. So saying over here, First Contact Entertainment shared the news just before Christmas via statement on Facebook saying, after almost 8 years of working with the most amazing team I have ever had the pleasure of being a part of, I'm sad to announce that we will be closing our company First Contact Entertainment by the end of the year, reads the statement. The lack of support for VR within the industry has just eventually taken its toll. As a AAA VR game developer, we are just not able to justify the expenses needed going forward. We are a team of fearless innovators willing to push new technologies to its limit. And that's what kind of makes it sad, because while there is a somewhat cool reception even for the PSVR2, it is a niche product. It didn't really sell as well as people were expecting, and even now people are curious. Now, it has grown and more people are interested in VR, but even let's say on Twitch, like I'm a Twitch streamer, I'm sure you guys know, I barely see anyone using VR ever. On YouTube, it happens and you can find it, but it is way more niche towards just general gaming. And as well, a lot of these big AAA games, like say Call of Duty, doesn't have VR. If they did, I'm sure a lot of people like it. Things like Overwatch or like, even World of Warcraft, these really big games with really niche communities, Warframe or whatever, if they had these, Starfield, if they had these, people would maybe play it. People would be down with it. But as of right this second, it's not that big. It's not that well developed. And if you just don't make money, it's just not a viable business solution. Now, VR is not going away, but VR definitely is going to have a little bit of struggles if we're not seeing support from places like PlayStation, which they should be investing money to go get these next level awesome games and maybe try to resell them on Steam too as well, or even Facebook, for Oculus or whatever it might be, because there is a big variety of folks who play things on other, genres. They say First Contact said it was proud of its team and shared its gratitude for those who have supported the studio over the years. It's been a wild ride. Thank you. The statement closed. First Contact Entertainment released Firewall 0 Hour on PSVR back in 2018. Our resident VR aficionado, Ian, was quite taken with the shooter and its launch too as well, saying that they liked the game itself. A follow-up subsequently arrived in the PSVR2 last year in the form of Firewall Ultra. While Ian still felt there was a lot to like with this release, he couldn't deny there was even problems with it too as well. And that's why people are kind of sad, because people enjoy this, but there is also other big studio closures. And typically, if we look at where things get shut down first, typically emerging technologies and also not really profitable technologies are also usually cut first. So it seems like right now it just wasn't making money. People just don't really care about VR as much as we'd expect. And I want to know if you guys do yourselves. Like, this kind of like the big, I want to hear your thoughts and down below. But VR is cool. Like, I think the idea behind VR is cool. But certain things like getting motion sick after a few hours is not a fun experience. Like, for me, after 2 or 3 hours, I'm done. Like, there's a heavy headset on my head, or just it's weird just being in a weird augmented reality. Now, I think it's cool, and I think overall in the future I'd still be receptive of it. But at the same time, it's also very costly. At the PlayStation VR2 is pretty much the same price, if not more, depending on sales on the PlayStation console. So you need to go and spend $1,000 on it, let alone also what else do you really do with it? Like, the Horizon game seemed okay, but no one really cared about it. Beat Saber's cool, but once again, you have to be in the mood for that one. And while I think it's an awesome game, you have to be in the mood to want to work out, move your body, etc. Some people off for work don't want to do that. Some people just want to always be working out or moving their body 24/7. Sometimes it's 11 o'clock at night, just want to play a game for 30 minutes, an hour before you go to bed. And at the end of the day, it's not been good. And this also all kind of still adds support on how kind of rough some of the stuff is. Because while we still have seen okay sales, we are not seeing anything super crazy in terms of the overall numbers. Now, we're looking through some of these, and it seems like the sell-through has been good, but even then, just depending on how these sales numbers actually are, the charts have gone down. The trajectories have gone down, and this is actually on the first few launch weeks. And this is barely moving sales. If they're trying to say it's 600,000 sales, if even that, guess what? Even my 1.5 million figure is very, very, very generous. I'd be surprised if it hits 1 million as of right this second so far. So it seems like VR is a little bit, not doing so good. It seems like studios are shutting down. They're not getting enough money and support. And if you're only trying to sell products to, let's say, 1 million people, that guess what? Like, if you're lucky, if 100,000 people go buy your game, and even then, it's just rough. Like, you have to, what if people refund? What if they don't like it? What if there's no marketing behind it? And if there is a lot of marketing, if the install base is so small, what do you do at that point? So give me your thoughts and comments on everything down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed. And if you guys are interested, check out our hashtag ad and the free reservation, no obligation needed from Samsung, linked down below as well. I appreciate y'all so much for watching here in the first place.